Yeah, how's it going?
It was
The
a
mood is very weird right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, we're live, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think there are a couple things. Let's just start with the chess first, obviously, because that's the most important thing. I didn't play great today. I mean, in general, I don't feel like I've played amazingly well at times, and I've missed some tactics. Like there was a game against Sevian where he missed this knight takes e5 in the opening, where I just blundered a pawn, that was winning, and like that was already a bit of a miracle. But then in this game too, I got some miracles because when I played Queen C2, I just blundered knight takes e4, and I was very fortunate that I had rook e1 and the game goes on. And many moments I wanted to make the draw, and then somehow we got into the scramble. And unfortunately, these days at least, I just lost my nerve like I always do, similar to Title Tuesday. And Merzin kept his nerve a little bit better than me, and I lost a position that I never should have lost. I mean, the game should have been a draw, but it is what it is. And it's unfortunate because I thought I was very careful not to take risks in certain games, like against Sevian at the end where I made the draw, tried to avoid the danger. In this one, like I went all in to try and win. And maybe in retrospect, it will be it'll prove to be the right decision if we see a big score winning, but I'm still definitely unhappy with it. You guys were there, right?
What about the
Yeah, we are
non-chess
there.
things?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry, what's that?
What about the non-chess
Yeah,
things?
so I mean, I haven't heard the interview with Magnus. I'm going to be honest. I haven't heard anything. So I'm not really sure what Magnus said or didn't say. You guys can sort of inform
He
me.
literally said "fuck you" as
Yeah,
as
so
in
I
kind of
mean,
speaking to FIDE. He said, "If this is how they're gonna do, I'm like," and
He also
the
revealed he
soundbite is
spilled
very good.
he also spilled the whole freestyle tea about players being threatened with
threatened. Well, I
not
mean,
being able to play the World Championship cycle.
one second. Let me adjust my microphone so it's a little bit better. Um, okay, so I mean, I think first things first. I already sort of alluded. I mean, I kind of alluded to it. I didn't say specifically what was going on, but I think if Magnus is going to just outright say that, then yeah. I mean, FIDE, of course, said things about the players, and basically, players were put in a situation where potentially you have to choose between playing the candidate cycle or playing in the freestyle world championship, and so that's the first thing. I did allude. I mean, I sort of alluded to it in my video. I know there are people out there who thought I'm just like making up stuff and saying things when, of course, obviously I know full well what's going on. I think ultimately my view of the whole situation is that there should be a world where players are able to play any events they want to without having to worry about retribution. That's the first thing I would say. Obviously I haven't seen what Magnus said in that interview, but I would also say that I think these things regarding dress code, the sooner that chess moves into the 21st century and we don't try to portray this fake image of these great geniuses who never say bad things, who like keep all their emotions aside, they're gentlemanly like it's the 1600s. The sooner we get past all this nonsense, the better off chess is going to be. I think it's an antiquated view that is really out of sorts, and out of place. So I think it's very important to keep that in mind. I think the notion of like fining people, it's really comical to me that FIDE tries to enforce this dress code because the reality for chess is that most of the players who are competing in this tournament outside of the top 10, they're paying an arm and a leg and a kidney to play in this tournament. There's expensive travel is very expensive, hotels are very expensive. All this stuff is definitely it definitely adds up. And so it's kind of funny that FIDE is trying to say you have to wear all these dress clothes, go out, spend money, wear nice clothes, and sort of perpetrate this fake image when basically you're struggling just to make a living and FIDE is not doing anything to support you. So I think that for me, that's one of the biggest problems with FIDE right now is that they live in this like this world where they think it's the 1970s still. Same thing goes with the event being here on Wall Street, where we're basically where you have the event on Wall Street. I mean, don't get me wrong. Obviously, New York is the financial center of the world. But the fact is, trading these days is electronic. You don't have endless traders on the floor doing the big trades or the consequential trades the way that you did, 25, 30 years ago. So I mean, all this stuff feels like very, very much like smoke and mirrors to me. It's like, you know, trying to push an image that is just not in touch with the reality. I frankly think that as far as Magnus goes specifically, I don't think there's a single player at the playing venue who's going to not watch the event, or online for that matter, who's not going to watch the event because Magnus is playing in jeans or his underwear, or I don't know, Speedo. Like, God knows like what the options are. But I don't think there's a single person in the world who cares about that at all. They want to see Magnus Carlsen play chess. He's the best player in the world, and that's that. That's what they want to see. So to me, the whole thing is insane. Obviously, those of you guys who are watching the feeds, you probably saw me smile at Nepo before the second game. Like, I saw him walk by, you know, in my vision, and you know, he started laughing. I was laughing. I mean, all of it is just like, it's just completely insane. And so I think it's very disappointing. I did Magnus say that he's not playing the Blitz or not?
He
Yes,
did
he
say
did.
that, yeah.
He said he's
By the
not playing the
way,
Blitz.
he's not, and he was given a 1 game.
Yeah, but I mean, but this is
1 game
also, I mean, but
ban.
this speaks volumes about where FIDE is
Yeah.
at, because if we go back to, I think it was 2017 or 2018, there was this situation with the FIDE World Cup in I believe Batumi, Georgia. And in that event, I believe it was Anton Kovalyev from Canada. He got disqualified because he was wearing shorts. Now, you know, of course, once again, like, I'm doing a little bit of story time here, but you know, in that case, you had someone who was traveling from Canada, expected to lose very early, be there 2-3 days and go home. Someone who's not very rich or wealthy, someone who just shows up, expects to be there a few days, go home, and that's that. And then he ends up getting, I think, fined or forfeited or whatever. I think he actually just didn't show up because he was like, what is this nonsense? And so it's not like this is without precedence. This has happened before. And I think it's wild to think that it continues to happen.
But Hikaru, then, if it has happened before, why don't the players work together in order to make sure that the rules that are deemed silly are changed?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very very good question. I would say that in my opinion, the problem is that chess is a zero-sum game. And I think I sort of speak in terms of chess across the board, not just in terms of playing. But the problem with chess ultimately is that when you play the game, we're all on good terms with each other, but it is zero sum. Someone wins and someone loses. And I think that because everybody has that mindset and mentality, it's very, very difficult to sort of get the players to agree on things. Now, I would say that if you know, you had the top 25 players in the world all agree on something like this, FIDE would be unable to hold this tournament because it would be a complete disaster. The sponsors wouldn't be interested. I mean, ultimately, they want to see the best players in the world competing. It's not about the clothes that they wear. And so for me, I mean, I think it's unfortunate this hasn't happened already, but considering what's going on now, you know, I think we're in a world where there's a very good chance that the players are going to have to pick and choose tournaments between, you know, supporting FIDE or going their own way and playing the freestyle. And the only thing that I would say that really, you know, I find very disappointing about this whole thing is that, you know, I'll spill a little bit more tea here, which is that, you know, I had some conversations and I already felt that something was wrong with when I saw the statement that came out by Jan-Henrik Buettner. And then I saw what Arkady Dvorkovich tweeted. It was sort of very clear to me that FIDE was biding their time without making a clear decision. And I sort of told Henrik and Magnus this, that, you know, I thought that it was very, very questionable going along with this because I didn't trust FIDE whatsoever. And now, as we see, everything's kind of blowing up immediately. And I think that, you know, it's we have a brave new world coming, where I think that, you know, Magnus will try and do his own thing. You know, I think there are other players who are also going to be in that same boat. You know, as I said to Magnus about a week ago, you know, I would reiterate this again, that at the end of the day, if push comes to shove, I will ultimately choose to play in the freestyle events and what it stands for, as opposed to trying to qualify for the candidates or play the world championship. So the same thing that I said then holds true for me. But I think all in all,
when did you say this, Hikaru? Was this
Oh,
a
I mean,
private conversation you have?
I had a conversation with Magnus about a week ago, where I said this. You know, I said it to him directly. Nothing in my stance has changed. I still stand behind what I said then. You know, the push comes to shove, I think players are gonna have a choice to make, and we'll see what they ultimately choose to do. But at the end of the day, it really is about the chess. People are here to watch the chess. They're not here for all this nonsense, or at least most people aren't. And I just think it's really a tragedy that we're dealing with this, because this could have very easily have been avoided, if FIDE wasn't, FIDE wasn't so insane, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Is it normal
Question.
that you and Magnus talk together, or is that something that has
I mean, that's
lately?
relatively recent. I mean, as it relates specifically to this, I think, we're both at a point in our career where we're looking at the bigger picture of what we can do with the time that we have left, if I'm being frank, to try and push us in a direction that we think is good, in the long term. And I think so. So for me, when I look at the whole thing, I think that. I think that Magnus views this as the future, maybe not freestyle necessarily, but I think the future of trying to have something which can be sustainable. Again, I will say this as well. Um, what I would say about this is that is that the current model for FIDE is basically, you try to find a sponsor, someone who, for their own reasons, wants to be very philanthropic and support chess and not get anything in return. That is a model that, we've seen in chess for probably the better part, I would say 50 years. You've had many individuals who have done great things trying to support the game, but ultimately we always live in a world where as soon as someone passes on or loses interest in chess, everything dries up. A good example, of course, would be the Amber tournaments, which occurred in Monte Carlo for the better part of, I think, 20 years. The Rapid and Blindfold Melody Amber event, and as soon as I think the sponsor unfortunately had a stroke and he was unable to be directly involved, the event folded overnight. And we've lived in this world for so long now that to me, we're in the new age where there is a lot of interest in chess. You have a lot of fans on the street who are interested, who want autographs and pictures and everything else. And I think there's a big appetite to watch it, especially on the internet versus, say, linear television. And so I think what Magnus thinks is that, if you have a more engaged audience, you can sort of make the players look exciting. You have exciting games where you don't get 6-hour draws. There's potential to make chess bigger than it currently is. And whether or not that's the case down the road, who knows? But I think Magnus trying to do this is ultimately a good thing. I think it's a great thing that he's trying to do this.
Do you think that today, when we look back, that today will be really a big day that might change chess history in a way going forward?
I mean, I think there's a good chance. I think that it's very clear now that there's basically going to be a war. I think there's zero doubt in my mind that that Magnus is going to play the freestyle events. FIDE is going to basically change their words on some level, and they're going to say, look, players have to pick and choose. I could give. I mean, I could give even more tea, perhaps. I mean, about financial stuff. I don't know if Magnus probably didn't say that. I'm guessing, did he? The whole world
No,
championship shakedown.
I don't think so.
He didn't go into that, so I'll leave that tea for another time. But I think ultimately the reality is that FIDE, they really they want to have their control, and I think for the people who are in charge, especially Emil Satovsky, he really enjoys that. He likes being able to say my way or the highway. I could also go into my own issues as far as why I didn't have the cameras for this event. And the whole disillusionment that I have with FIDE because of that and around everything in general. But I think ultimately there's no doubt that this will be the beginning of a new era, because I do think that Magnus is definitely going to go his own way. I expect the players to have to pick or choose between FIDE or FIDE or the freestyle, and we'll see what happens. But I think it's very clear now that we're going to end up in a situation where Magnus will do his own thing. I don't think he's going to play FIDE events, and I would say from my standpoint, I think that Magnus trying to do this is going to be a good thing. if anything, I think that it'll probably cause FIDE to look introspectively and perhaps try to reform or change. But I don't think that anything is going to happen before the end of this tournament. Although who knows? Maybe FIDE will say something before the Blitz, and me or other players will be put in a tough situation. I mean, it's really unclear what the future holds.
What are you doing on your rest day in New York?
I don't know. I mean, obviously tomorrow I just want to play good chess. I mean, it's very disappointing to effectively throw away the tournament in this final round of the day. I mean, but like I said, who knows? Maybe someone's gonna run it up, like Duda, or someone's gonna win, and you're gonna have someone like way ahead. So maybe I'll look back and then what, it was right that I went all in and I tried to win this game. But I think that's my first
sorry.
thing.
I didn't mean to say that your tournament is over, Hikaru. I was
no. But I mean,
because...
my tournament is over from the standpoint of winning. I mean, it's going to be almost impossible unless I win every game tomorrow.
No, you can do 3.5 out of 4. I think.
I mean, I didn't see what happened on board 1, obviously, so I don't know. But
it was a draw.
I think at the end of the day, what I would say is what I would say about this is that I'll try to play well tomorrow. I mean, with the exception of this final game, I thought I did a good job overall of managing the risk in this tournament. So I have to be happy. As far as the rest day itself, I don't know what I'll do on the rest day. I mean, my guess is I'll probably just try to go and enjoy, maybe go to Broadway or do something like that. I'm not sure. Obviously, I mean, I grew up in New York, so
Hammer was actually getting at something. I think Hammer, you really messed up this question.
I really did. My understanding was that that FIDE was supposed to have some kind of event on the rest day where Magnus played a huge part. And my understanding was that you would be a part of that as well.
So you want tea, is what you want. You want more tea.
Just say yes, maybe, Hammer.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, okay. So let's be clear. So basically, well, as far as my involvement in that goes, I mean, FIDE was basically trying to, because I wanted to have the cameras on my stream like I always have in the past. FIDE wanted me to they wanted me to be involved with the event. As soon as Emil made his demands, and I thought they were ridiculous because he was unwilling to negotiate on anything whatsoever, it was his way or the highway. Then I wasn't part of the event because that was, of course, mostly part of the agreement. So like that from my standpoint was the first thing. And then of course they took my name off of course I will also say it's very clear there's been a bit of a shadow ban too, where they're intentionally not featuring me whatsoever. Magnus are still doing it because he's Magnus, but in my case it's intentional. They're definitely not featuring me on purpose. So that when that happened, obviously I was never going to be a part of it unless they paid me. I'm just going to be honest. Like, unless they were going to pay me money, I was not going to show up to that event. So I mean, I don't believe that I'm required. I did, of course, to give you an example of just kind of how paranoid I am about the whole situation. Before the event began, like, I read the regulations very, very closely to see exactly what there is. And the only thing that I saw is that you have to do some signing. That's the only thing that's in there. There's nothing else. And I was very careful to read it because I had a feeling there might be something that would blow up during this tournament. And it's I definitely have no intention. I think there's zero chance that Magnus shows up. I think a lot of people are going to be very upset about this. But I do think at this point, there's no walking it back. I don't think that, FIDE can just say, we're sorry, we'll do better next time. I think everything is pretty much permanently broken. I also think, however, it was only a matter of time until this occurred. So we'll see what happens.
Magnus, by the way, did say that he was gonna go off somewhere warm, that he is not playing tomorrow, and he will not be playing the Blitz either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it puts me obviously in a very, very awkward situation. I'm sure that there will be a lot said within the next day or so in regards to it. I mean, I don't know if, I would not be shocked if FIDE suddenly tries to say something before the Blitz that if you play this, you can't play in other non-FIDE events or something along those lines, or World Championship cycle is not FIDE. I would not be shocked if they try to say something. As of right now, my assumption is that will not be the case, but you never know. You never know what's going to happen. So it's very dangerous, very volatile situation, I think, at the moment. I don't think there's any walking it back, though. I don't think Magnus is going to be like, it's okay, no worries, like it's all good. I don't see any world where FIDE can adequately apologize to Magnus. And, I also think that as far as Emil goes, and I'll speak for myself, not Magnus so much, even though I have some general idea of how he and Henrik feel about Emil, but I would say, speaking for myself, I mean, I had many great conversations over the last couple of years with Arkady Dvorkovich, who's the FIDE president. And in a matter of months, Emil basically managed to ruin my entire relationship with FIDE, and I'm completely disillusioned, and I really just don't want to be involved with them either. So, maybe I'm dropping a lot of tea, and that's that, but so be it.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels like this is like I wasn't privy to anything that was going on between the FIDE and Freestyle, but it felt like there was something happening, but I just didn't see it blow up so soon. So I think we're all just a bit shocked,
I mean, I'm
maybe.
also gonna say it's a great moment to talk, and obviously it's good because right now I'm this actually kind of like it's good. It's like almost therapeutic after completely throwing the last game. It's really kind of therapeutic in a way to talk about this, because it's good to have it all out there now, where it's like there is no speculation, there is none of this stuff. Like, you can just straight up say what's going on. But I think that I think that the problem, or not problem, sorry, where I was going to go with that is that we are moving towards a brave new world, also because one thing I'm very optimistic about is that there is going to be this esports World Cup going on next year in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And one of the reasons I'm so optimistic, it is an event that is outside of FIDE, so FIDE is not involved whatsoever. But then secondarily, because it's part of because there are grand prizes. I think last year the grand prize was $7 million that Team Falcon won for winning the event overall. A lot of these orgs are going to be looking for chess players. You're probably going to see some 6 to 12 month sponsorship deals occurring, even for people who are not in the online creator space, because these teams want to win the grand prizes overall. And I think the fact that the players have a chance to qualify for that, play in that, and they're probably looking at money on top of the massive prize fund is going to be a huge win for the players overall. That's one of the reasons that I think it's a very good time. It's a very, very good time for this freestyle stuff to be going on as well, because I think they definitely go hand in hand for the chess players who have a chance to monetize in a way that they never really have had. So I think it's going to be very exciting. I think the future is very bright, and I think that I think we're going to look back on today as being a very very monumentous day. Maybe we'll look back and think it was a failure, perhaps, or maybe we'll think it was the greatest thing that ever happened to chess. But I don't see any world where it will be possible to walk it back. I don't think that can happen. So I think that we're going to be in a situation where FIDE is going to think that players are ultimately not going to choose the freestyle. But I think at the end of the day, the players are in a situation where, because of the esports World Cup as well, they actually have the power, and it's very important for the players to know their worth and to try and do what they can. So I think that the future is actually very bright in spite of this, and I think maybe it's inevitable.
You cut out, I think. Or is it?
I lost sound.
Yeah, me too.
Why can I hear you guys still?
Now we can hear you.
You're back. You just cut
maybe
out
I
for the
lost my
last.
Wi-Fi. I don't know. Yeah, what I was going to say,
we could
what I was
still
going to
see
say
you.
is that I think the future is very bright for chess. So, I mean, I think the players have a lot of say in what happens going forward, and I think that can only be a good thing. But I do suspect we're gonna have we're gonna have the war. It's gonna come, I think, even though there was this attempt to try and not have it happen.
Yeah, I don't know where we can go from this. I mean, it's insane that it would happen mid-tournament as well. What do you think? And I know you said it's hard to speculate, but what do you think is going to happen with the next 4 days?
Well, I mean, I don't think Magnus is going to play. Magnus is just going to say, "Screw this, I'm not going to play."
He has said that
I mean,
already.
as far as I'm concerned, I'm here, and I mean, I think I will play the Blitz. But if there's anything that FIDE tries to pull before the event, like they try to pull anything, like change the regulations or anything, or they come out and say something, I mean, there's a very high chance that I won't play either. But if things stay the way that they are currently, I will play.
Well, I think, Hammer, I don't know. I'm still processing the events of today. I don't know if you
I
have
mean,
any more.
again, what I would say at the end of the day is that, you know, ultimately it's all about power. Like everything in this world, unfortunately, it's all about power. And I think because chess is such a singularly focused game where it's a zero sum, somebody wins, someone loses. You know, that's how people approach it, and it's very unfortunate that we live in this world where that's the case. I think that it would be very easy to have a world where you could have you could have these freestyle events and not have you know FIDE basically thinking that it's some massive threat to them. You know, and I think it's really tragic that we've reached this point. But I think now there's literally no going back. And I know there are going to be people who are going to say like Magnus is going crazy or he shouldn't be doing this. But you know, I actually I think, you know, from the general standpoint of trying to make chess more popular, it comes down to rapid and blitz. I think people who enjoy watching the games, watching a game for 30, 60 minutes, most people don't have an issue. When games go 4 or 5 hours, nobody cares. And if you're trying to create a model where chess is sustainable, you have to have the viewership. That's the only way you're going to get big corporations give money. You can hope that, you know, wealthy individuals will do something, but you really are basically hoping that you know, that's the case. And so ultimately, I mean, I think that you know, we'll see what happens, but you know, as of right now, I'll still play tomorrow. I'll still play the Blitz and go from there. But if there's anything that changes, you know, I would drop out in a heartbeat if there's anything, you know, that happens.
Hikaru, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. I mean, this
Yeah,
is
I mean, I
great.
think, you know, it's important to get this out there because, you know, ultimately the problem is that chess is a game where most people who play it, I'll say, like, again, when I look at the, you know, the 150 odd players who are here, with the exception of maybe the top 20 players in the world, those 130 other players, I mean, they're spending thousands and thousands of dollars to play in this event, and they're getting nothing in return other than playing against these top guys. And as you know, obviously, like those guys, once upon a time, I was a 2,500, 2,600 player. And when you're trying to, you know, go up the rankings, make a living, I mean, it's very, very brutal. It's very difficult. And I think that that is something that is generally lost. Like FIDE thinks you hold some tournament, you have a prize fund. Well, that's great. Yeah, it's going to benefit the top chess players, but it doesn't benefit the vast majority of the people who actually, frankly, need the help. So I think it's, you know, it's sad. I don't know what Emil is going to say to try and mitigate the situation with Levy, but I think I've pretty much said my bit about where things stand. And I think, you know, Dvorkovich, I will say this, I think Arkady Dvorkovich has done a good job of trying to, you know, calm things down, you know, unlike Emil. But at the end of the day, I think it kind of was inevitable this was going to happen at some point. And so, you know, what's the what's it was it Cry Wolf and Let Slip the Dogs of War? I forget the exact saying. There's one of those saying. But what's that saying? I'm trying to remember it. Or I know it's relatively different. It's Cry Havoc and Let Slip the Dogs of War. Yeah, Cry Havoc and Let Slip the Dogs of War is the exact phrase. And I think that we're finally at the point where that's going to happen. And we'll see. But I don't think there's any going back. I don't think there's any going back from this. I don't think Magnus will be here the next 3 days, and that's the reality.
I have a question to what you just said, Hikaru, because you said like you have a good impression of Arkady, the president of the Chess Federation, but you have a big problem with Emil Satovsky, who is the general secretary.
Well, I mean, everybody knows that Emil is the person running FIDE. I mean, he's the one making the day-to-day decisions. So like Arkady has the president title, but Emil is making most of the decisions on a day-to-day basis. I don't believe that Dvorkovich is here in New York City. So like at the end of the day, you know, the person running it, you know, even if I've had good conversation with Dvorkovich, he's not the one making the decisions ultimately. It's Emil Satovsky. And so for me, you know, yeah, it's disappointing, but you know, I'm on the one hand, I'm not really super surprised because I really, you know, I hate to be the person who says I told you so, but I kind of did, you know, tell Magnus and Henrik, you know, I kind of did say like this is what's going to happen, and sure enough, you know, we're exactly what I said was going to happen is happening.
But as the president of the Chess Federation, Dvorkovich has the power to fire Emil.
I guess. Someone says that I signed a contract. Is that for real? There's no contract for this event. I don't know if that's a troll from chat. People in chat can tell me if that's a troll or not. I have
I
no
don't
idea.
think Emil has tweeted anything.
But I
Apparently
assume
he's
that's
talking
just
to
I assume that's a
Libby.
troll. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's a troll. But yeah, it's what it is. Yeah, I assume it's a troll. I don't know. But yeah, you know, at the end of the day, you know, the situation is what it is, and yeah, it's very bad. And I think that, you know, there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be very unhappy with what has happened, especially as it relates to the rest day. I myself know several people who came to this event who paid for those VIP tickets because they thought they were going to get a game with Magnus, and they're not going to get a game with Magnus. So, yeah, yeah. There's a sign at the door saying by playing you agree. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if Emil wants to say these things about you signed the 4-year contract or something, I mean, fine. Let him sue the players. Let him sue the players. Trying to copyright World Championship, everything else. Let him try and sue the players. Let him try and sue the players. Let him ruin chess completely.
It
I'm
feels
more than happy. I'm more than happy to go that way. More than
it
happy to go in that way. So
it feels like a very bittersweet moment. In a way, it's sad that it had to come to this, but then there is that part of like maybe there is a more exciting future ahead.
yeah, I mean, I think the future is very bright. You know, I think again, you have things like the Esports World Cup completely separate from all this FIDE stuff. And like from that standpoint, I think, you know, I think chess is headed in the right direction, but it's gonna be, I do think though, it's gonna be very ugly. I think it's going to be very, very ugly. And that's that. And if FIDE wants to go and, you know, file lawsuits against people and waste hundreds of thousands of dollars of their money and potentially, you know, like people like myself, or, you know, have insurance and all that other stuff paying, like let him do that. Be my guest. I mean, all that's going to do is be bad for chess. So that's my general general takeaway. So if he wants to try and file a lawsuit, let him try and file a lawsuit against the players. Have at it. Have at it. Have at it. And while they do that, you know, all the players are gonna basically all the players aren't gonna play FIDE events, and then you have no sponsors at all. So I mean, I don't think the sponsors are going to want to watch an event that doesn't have the top players. I don't think, or rather, they're not going to want to sponsor events that don't have the top players. So it's what it is. It's what it is. So that's life. So anyway, you know, that's my general gist of it. Overall, I mean, I think, you know, we finally reached a point that I thought we were going to reach. I mean, that's the only thing that I'm upset about with this. The only thing that I'm really upset with about all of this is that at the end of the day, you know, again, I said this at the start, but, you know, I already had warned Magnus and Henrik that you know, FIDE was not going to agree to this, that it was going to turn into this disaster. And sure enough, I'm right. So that's actually the only thing that really upsets me about this, is that, you know, it's kind of like I told you so. Like I warned them. I mean, I thought this was going to happen, and then it did happen. So I mean, good luck. Good luck with all of that.
Hikaru, it's been a momentous day, as you said earlier.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, it's just to end it a little bit more. I think, you know, none of this is really about the none of this is ultimately really about the close. It's about power. It's about power, and once you get it, power corrupts. And so I think it's very disappointing we've reached this moment. But as I said before, I'm not surprised. I had a feeling we would get to this point. And again, we'll see what happens in the next 48 hours before the Blitz tournament. I mean, I think right now it's probably like a 75. I think it's probably 75% chance that I play, but I would not be shocked if FIDE basically just tries to, you know, come up with something that if you play the Blitz, like, you can't play other stuff. So I think we're gonna see a you know, we'll see what happens in the next 48 hours. But barring that, you know, assuming nothing changes, I think I'll still play the Blitz. But there are probably no guarantees.
Well, I once again thank you for joining us and sharing all your thoughts, and I hope that you are able to keep your mind on the chess and that there will
Yeah,
be
I
no
mean,
further
I said
escalation.
something before that what did I say before? I said that, or I said this on Take 66 actually, that, if I wasn't going to win one of that, like if I wasn't going to win the Blitz or the Blitz, for example, my goal was to play well in the Rapid. And even if I messed up today, I've played well overall. And so I'm actually very, very happy about that. Because I've had a good event. I think overall though, I mean, I have been shaky at times, and unfortunately this last game was really bad. But at any rate, I'm just going to try to focus on the games, hopefully. Honestly, I'm not. I half expect something insane to happen before then. So we'll see, but hopefully I can play the Rapid, and hopefully I can play the Blitz. If not, then it is what it is. But I think ultimately the fans and the sponsors will have the actual say in terms of what the future of chess is, because if people want to watch tournaments that have Magnus in them, they're going to watch those tournaments. They're I think most of the people, and Levy could also attest to this too, when you look at live content or even the even video content, the videos that do the best are videos that feature Magnus. He is the greatest player of all time, arguably, alongside Gary. Actually, one fun fact, I said this on my stream, but it's pretty funny because I saw Gary maybe a month and a half ago here in New York City, and I asked him, like, are you going to be around? And he's like, I'll be in New York, but it's FIDE. Like, I'll never show up to a FIDE event, is what he basically said to me. And I thought, it's kind of ironic that, I was talking to Gary the other, but like I won't show up around a FIDE event. I just won't. And so it's pretty hilarious in a way to see that, but it is what it is. So I don't know if people in chat have any questions. Like not sure, what else to really say, but I think, it's really disappointing because I just look at the enthusiasm for this event. You see the kids who are in the playing hall, you see these VIPs, all that stuff. And this event had great potential to be really, really exciting. And now, I mean, it's basically ruined in a sense. No matter who wins or what happens, it's basically ruined. Everyone's going to be talking about FIDE and Magnus and everything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think I gave you guys the insight, and that's that. Like, FIDE wants to start threatening lawsuits too. Good luck with that. There's actually something called damages in the real world, which kind of are a thing. You can't just do this and file lawsuits and hope to win. So yeah, it's what it is. But I think at the end of the day, I think the players are gonna have to make decisions too. It's very clear where I stand, where Magnus stands. Fabiano, he has his own thoughts. I'm sure he'll be asked about them today or tomorrow as well. Nepo obviously finds all of it to be, incredibly comical and ridiculous too. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
One question, because you talked about how you had spoken to Magnus on these topics.
Mm-hmm.
Have you also spoken to Fabiano? Have you also spoken to Nepomniachtchi? Are there any other players you feel is important
I think
to?
Magnus has conveyed some stuff to me, but I think ultimately I mean, it's like I feel like there are a lot of sayings. People like to say chess is like life or something. It's like all it takes is like it takes like the powder keg or something to spark the war. It's not actually like the major thing. It just takes something minor to basically blow everything up. And I feel like it's a great example of that. Like, it took this very, very stupid and minor issue of the dress code to basically blow everything up in the sky. And now, I mean, now there's no going back. So like, yeah, it's I haven't spoken to them directly. I mean, I would say, like, I'm certain that I'll be talking to them in the next like day or two about it. Specifically Fabiano, I'm sure I'll talk to him about it. And I think that it's just it's really sad. It's really sad to see this happen. And like I think we're at a stage where everything has exploded, and maybe it's a good thing. Maybe trying to postpone or not have it happen could have been you know, could have kept things going with a pot of simmering, or like kind of like a sort of Cold War type situation. But at the end of the day, maybe it's a good thing that's happened and everything's out there in the open now, and we'll see what we get. But I think, you know, it's definitely a momentous day, because I think that from Magnus' standpoint, there's no coming back. I do not think he'll play another FIDE tournament ever again. I don't think he will. I don't think he's going to play another FIDE tournament ever again. I don't think there's a world where that happens. So it's yeah, sad, but that's life. I mean, the thing is, even if I had not lost this game, I still would have the same opinions. So it's not as though I'm like suddenly over the top and happy just because of the game. But definitely, I think that we're gonna be in this world where you have the freestyle that's going on at the same time. You know, I think, to give it one last comparison, I would draw a comparison between Live Golf and Live Golf and the PGA Tour. You look at how there was this big uproar about the players going and playing in Live Golf, and now a couple of years later on, I think they've merged where the players are able to play in all the events. And I think that, you know, it's something that you know, trying to ban players from playing other competitions, it's not in the spirit of chess. And you know, we'll see what Emil says or Dvorkovich says. Who knows what they'll say to try and I guess, I mean, not have the whole thing blow up. But I think we're past that point. So yeah, it's what it is. It's sad to see, but that's how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, the whole situation is, of course, so massive. One is almost forgetting there is still a tournament going on.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I think really what it does is it definitely it really minimizes the tournament. I mean, I feel like, you know, no matter what happens, everybody's gonna be not gonna be talking about the tournament. Like, you know, for example, Arjun's in the running. I don't know how he did in the last round, but you know, if Arjun wins, Arjun could qualify for the candidates, and that should be like one of the biggest stories. But instead, it's just like now nobody wants to even talk about the chess.
Arjun, he drew the last round, so he's in the shared lead still.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad to see, disappointing, but you know, I mean, at the end of the day, maybe it's ultimately for the good of chess.
Hikaru, I think we are gonna let you go. I mean, it's been, yeah, just a big
Yeah, it's been a
day.
long day, obviously, but you know, I think ultimately, one last thing, obviously, I know I've cut you guys off a lot, and you guys wanted to end for the last 20 minutes. Is that the thing is, you know, I think it's very important to remember that in life, you only have so much time that you can do things where you can make an impact. And I think when I look at, say, myself, or I look at Magnus, for example, you know, to be in this position, that, you know, we have this great responsibility, having built these big fan bases and audiences who love the great game of chess. And you know, when you're in that situation, you really sometimes have to think about the future and how do you try to make things better. And so for me, when I look at the freestyle, you know, I think the shorter formats of chess, whether it's regular, whether it's Fischer Random, whatever it might be, that has the potential to have a lasting impact to where people want to watch live games of chess fairly consistently. And so, you know, you only have so much time where you can make an impact. And I definitely feel like, being in the position I'm in, I should try and do something. And so for me, I definitely stand with Magnus. I mean, we'll see what FIDE tries to say. But yeah, it's what it is. So that's my last bit.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see, you know, what happens the next few days. I hope that the tournament manages
I mean,
to
you know,
conclude.
actually, I wouldn't be shocked if Magnus left New York. I wouldn't be shocked if he already left.
That he already left, you said.
Yeah, because there was a you guys might not know this, but there was a tournament in Switzerland, the Zurich Chess Challenge. I think it was 2014 or 15, and I think he didn't like the hotel room at the Savoy at the time. I think it's called the Mandarin Oriental now, in Zurich. And he lost the game. He didn't like the hotel, and he was out of there as soon as his game was done. So I really wouldn't be shocked if Magnus literally just booked a ticket and already just jumped out, not jumped out, but just, you know, got out of town.
Well, he did say he was gonna go somewhere warm, so who knows? He might be gone, as you say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but it would not shock me at all if he is. I think, you know, at any rate, you know, I think the whole thing is just, it's very sad to see, but I think it probably had to happen sooner or later, and so, you know, maybe it's just a good thing. So that's how it goes.
Hikaru, the pairings for the next round is not up yet. I have this theory that maybe they're holding back because they don't know whether to pair Magnus or not.
I
Do you
mean, but
think FIDE
why would
put him
Magnus
up?
play? Why would he
Well,
play?
he's not gonna play. So the only reason that they would pair him is to make a statement out of his empty board. But I don't see how they're winning anything from that.
Well, I mean, they're losing. You know, I'll give one last little bit of tea, but you know, at the end of the day, this event is being covered by NRK, which is one of the Norwegian television stations. And they definitely paid a pretty penny to have the cameras. And now you probably have millions of Norwegians who are outraged by what's going on, and so that's another source of revenue for FIDE that's simply gone by the wayside. That's on top of the fact that, you know, other groups have kind of wisened up as opposed to simply spending money for the, you know, these camera rights across the board. So it's, you know, it's FIDE just hurting itself. They're just hurting themselves, and I think the Norwegians should be outraged completely. You know, it's just not acceptable, and I you know, I think that's how it goes. So I mean, Norwegians should be absolutely outraged by what has happened, and like it's unbelievable, unbelievable. So yeah, that's what it is. You know, I think it's very yeah, it's what it is. So at the end of the day, though, I mean, I think that's, you know, another source of income for FIDE that's gone out the window with Magnus not playing this event. No more they're not going to waste their money on camera rights ever again, probably. So that's just how it goes. Just how it goes. And yeah, it's all disappointing, but at the end of the day, you know, if push comes to shove, and I'm forced to pick or choose, I will play the freestyle. That's probably the final note I'll end on. That if I'm forced to pick or choose, I will play the freestyle events, and not I'd rather do that and enjoy my life than have to deal with all the nonsense related to FIDE, whether it's a dress code, whether it's like cameras, whether it's this, that, or the other thing. Like that's where I stand. So ultimately, you know, if I'm forced to choose, I will choose the freestyle. So that's kind of a good spot to end on. So yeah. And I'm not salty, you guys. I mean, has nothing to do with being salty at all. I think you're a troll in chat, but it's not really it's not about being salty about anything. It's just it's unfortunate, but I think if you want chess to be bigger for the masses, you know, it's like you look at my videos or you look at Levy's videos. There's a reason people watch those videos. It's because of the way we explain the game, but more importantly, it's because of the length of the videos. Like, people don't want to watch long chess. They want, if you want to see exciting chess, the games have to be shorter and you need more decisive results. So yeah, it's just what it is.
Okay. Good luck tomorrow, Hikaru.
Thanks. Yeah. Looking forward to it. Again, hopefully I can play. Let's hope. But yeah, that's that.
Thank you so much, Hikaru, for stopping by. Best of luck, and I guess we'll be hearing more from you tomorrow.
Yeah,
Who knows what that's
absolutely.
gonna be?
Yeah, for
Good
sure.
luck.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for stopping
All right.
by.
I'll see you guys.
Bye.
And I'll make a video, obviously, on the games for YouTube. So see you guys then. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great evening.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.